Hello everyone, welcome back to my next Q&A video. This is a video series where I answer questions from viewers on anything related to accepting your body. So whether this is around food and your relationship to food, body image, movement, exercise, living in diet culture, anything like that, you can submit your question and then I respond with some of my thoughts. So in this video, I am addressing what a viewer calls demon foods. So this was a question that was written in by Maria, and Maria, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. She asks, how can we navigate through a world that demonizes foods? It seems like every time I turn around, another food group is the devil and needs to be cut out. Whether it's grains or gluten or processed foods or beef or beans, I could literally go on and on because every food gets attacked. Everyone can't afford fresh, organic, locally grown, or live a plant-based lifestyle. So what are we supposed to eat? Maria, that is such a good question, and I don't know about you, but it's hard for me to enter into a conversation around a mealtime with people and this conversation of good foods and bad foods or what we shouldn't eat or should eat comes up. It's just everywhere. People are confused. So the first thing I want to say is that there is a story that is told in this book that I'm reading called The Gluten Lie by Alan Levinovitz. It's a really fascinating book, and he talks about how this concept and idea of good foods and bad foods, or certain ways to eat that are better than others, has been going on for centuries. And he talks about this group of monks thousands of years ago. I believe it was in China, and the common diet at the time was people were eating a lot of these grains. And they said, don't eat these grains, eat our diet. If you eat our diet, you'll be able to do things like levitate and fly and be free from disease and, live such a long life. So these really kind of outrageous claims. But of course, who wouldn't want the possibility of being able to fly? I think that'd be pretty cool. So people started to follow this diet. Now, I wasn't there thousands of years ago. I'm going to have a pretty safe bet. People probably weren't flying. But we can get really hung up in this idea, like psychologically, of foods being good or bad for us, and can actually have an effect on how we feel. So in the book, he also talks about the nocebo effect. So we know of the placebo effect. That's if we have an ailment and we're taking what we believe to be a medication, even though it's not actually medication, it's a sugar pill. We take it and we're like, oh, I feel so much better. Well, the same can actually happen with foods. If we can start to actually convince ourselves that certain foods make us feel bad, and then when we don't have it, we say, oh, I feel better. So our psychological mindset around what we're eating really does have an impact on how we can feel, even if it actually doesn't have a real physiological impact on us. So for example, with gluten, people who have celiac disease will very much be able to tell you that when they eat gluten, they have a very strong and serious negative effect to gluten. They can't even just have a little bit of it and they feel the effect. It's actually a serious condition. If it's left untreated, a lot of negative health effects can come from it. In worst case scenarios, people can even die from it. So you will know if you have a condition like celiac disease, and it will be repeated over and over again. You'll really feel it. The same people who are lactose intolerant, they just know, like, they'll have persistent stomach cramping. So what I recommend is I know this may sound kind of scary in this day and age, but wipe the slate clean. Let go of any of the food rules that you have learned or any of these ideas of what foods we should or shouldn't be eating. Wipe the slate clean and start to trust your body that it will tell you what foods are best for it to be healthy. we know how to eat nutritiously, okay? It's not complicated. We know, but what we have not been taught is that we can trust ourselves and our bodies. There have actually been, case studies done where if you have a toddler just be exposed to a wide variety of foods, it's not like, and so say you have a table of like vegetables and grains and M&Ms and ice cream, the parents will think, oh, well, the kid's just going to eat nothing but M&Ms all the time. That they find that actually over time, that's not true. The toddler, through trial and error, the body starts to know, if I eat these certain foods, I get these certain vitamins and minerals. These foods taste good to me and make me feel happy. And so maybe it's M&Ms. It's really fun and exciting and enjoyable. But if I eat only those, I actually feel sick. So we start to create this balance where we're not going to want to eat just one thing all the time, and we're not going to want to eat nutrient poor foods all the time if we have the option to eat other healthy foods. We actually don't need to worry about it. We just need to listen to our bodies. So I can give you an example that when I stopped dieting and I started moving towards an intuitive way of eating, I ate ice cream every single day, sometimes twice a day for over 3 weeks. After a while, I started to feel not so great because I was eating so much ice cream and I started to crave a salad. I didn't have to think, oh, I should be eating a salad to get my nutrients. My body just naturally wanted it. And here's another thing. It's not like in a 24-hour period, what we eat then just goes away. So it's not like, from in this 24-hour period, whatever nutrients you get is what you get for the day. And then the next day, your body starts fresh again. That's not how it works. When we ingest nutrients, what we eat over like the course of a week is going to determine our nutritional balance. So we don't need to worry if even just for a few days we haven't been eating quote unquote nutritionally, because we're still getting nutrients from the meals that we had days before. So trusting our body, start to pay attention to what you want. If you notice the brain says you should be eating this or you shouldn't be eating that, or it's been, you haven't had a salad in 3 days, just trust. Also, what's really important too is that we're eating foods that are pleasurable. Okay, health is not just about what we eat. And in fact, what we eat is actually really overly stated and overly emphasized when it comes to its impact on our health. Okay, but because it's something that we can control, we put a lot of emphasis on it. But there are so many other factors in our life that aren't so measurable that it's really that we don't think about it, but we focus on the things we can control. So, for example, what do you think is healthier? Eating a piece of cake or eating a piece of cake with a side of guilt? Okay, that guilt is going to cause a stress response in the body. It's probably going to affect the digestion of it. It might impact how we feel the next day. We may then over-exercise the next day because we're worried about the calories that we ate from the cake. So it has this like residual effect, this stress that comes with our food choices. But if we were just to eat cake because it's pleasurable and we enjoy it, well, we ate it and it's done. Then we move on with our day and we're in a much healthier state than if we were so worried about what exactly we were eating. So, and I do want to make the comment too about, there are unfortunately far too many people who can't afford to eat a wide variety of foods, and they can't afford to get fresh, organic, local produce because either of their income or they're living in a food desert, whatever it may be. So, when we think that health is only what we eat, like that's also putting an immense amount of fear and additional stress on somebody. Like they're thinking, oh gosh, I want to be able to provide a nutrient-rich diet for my family, but I can't, so, now I'm screwed. That's not really fair, because they're doing what they can. So the stress that is caused by that additional fear is actually worse for health than likely just what they're eating. So again, it's the idea of the cake. Eating cake with guilt is worse for us than just eating cake. So we have to do the best that we can. And if we really truly care about making a healthier population, then we need to start working towards creating equality for everybody when it comes to health. So that means it starts from socioeconomic factors. So that means, supporting politicians or initiatives that are working to create a living wage for all people. It's supporting politicians and initiatives that are working to have everybody have equal access to care. We have to look at the different areas that stress is impacting people's lives. That so negatively impacts health. So stress comes from racism. Stress comes from discrimination. How can we work to diminish that in our culture and our society? That has such a greater impact on us than just what we eat. But again, because food is tangible and it's something that we can control, and I hate to say it, but it's also much easier to put the blame and responsibility on the individual this way, as opposed to working towards creating an equitable and just society for all on a systemic level, which is much more challenging. The focus gets put on food. So to wrap it up, we don't need to worry so much about what we're eating. We just need to start to tune inwards and listen and trust our bodies. And that may feel really scary if we're so used to having control and worrying about what we should or shouldn't eat. It may mean some trial and error. Okay, so it may mean allowing yourself to just eat sandwiches every day for a week and seeing how you feel. Maybe you'll feel fine and great, good. Now you know that you can eat this. Or maybe you're like, actually, I'd kind of like to have a soup for lunch today instead of a sandwich. Your body will start to crave certain things, and it will get the nutrients that it needs. So forget the demon foods. Whatever foods you want to eat that are enjoyable for you, that feel good in your body, are the best foods to eat. So I hope that answers your question. Thank you so much for writing it in. If you are somebody who has a question, pop it down below in the Q&A video link. If you like this video and you found it valuable and you think somebody else might get some value from it, share it. And then lastly, if you haven't already, you can download my free copy of the Body Acceptance Jumpstart Guide, also in the link below. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you on the next Q&A video.